Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more of Steve Jackson's Sorcery. Now you join me back here at the top of a cliff trying to work out if there's any way possible to get to that cave entrance partway down. And I think for now, in all honesty, looking at the situation, I should probably... Oh, can I? No, I can't. I should probably try resting till morning. Now, I am trying to chase down the Seven Serpents, but surely they need to sleep as well, right? Apart from maybe the Time Serpent, who kind of just... Can he travel forwards through time during his rest periods so that he rests without having to wait around getting bored out of his mind? And if so, does he still count as having rested or not? That's an interesting thought. Let's try resting, yes. You shiver and pull your cloak about yourself. The hour is late enough already. You will rest here, though there is no shelter, and continue in the light. Laying your pack down by the cliff edge, you try to settle despite the cold. At least you have eaten already today, so you do not need to eat again to avoid hunger, though more food will make you stronger. And I could really deal with that. You close your eyes and let your tiredness overtake you. The silence is loud in your ears. Slowly you are understanding the true loneliness of this place. The bustle and chatter of Khare seem a forgotten dream. The long night is filled with visions. A hooded woman with a scar on her face looks up from a deck of cards. It would be better if the crown were dropped into the sea, she tells you firmly, or else you should wear it yourself and rule all. Oh, goading me to be greedy and egotistical, I see. A boy sits on a throne of skulls and swords, wearing a crown carved from solid bone. He seems not to notice you, but plays with carved model figurines of goblins, trolls, and demons, playing out a war, though he looks bored by it. And even while you sleep, you know the serpents are moving towards Mampang, and every day you spend out here is a day in which your journey might be discovered. Okay, we have a daily review. You have gained considerable gold and found 2 new clues. Morning brings cold, clear light. You wake and find yourself lying all but on the edge of a great cliff that plunges to a rocky floor below. A good thing you did not roll over in the night. I will look over the edge of the cliff. You approach the cliff edge and peer out. The drop is considerable and the view beyond stretches for miles. Leading away to the left is what appears to be a carved staircase of rough stone blocks. In the far distance, birds wheel and turn above the landscape ahead. I want to know how to get to the cave entrance, but I haven't even seen that yet. So obviously we're going to have how, right? No, that's you. I clicked on the O's, like right here. How? I mean, obviously, how is safe? It's not the wisest. We've got no sus. We got full, obviously, and foff and stuff. Okay, let's just... Carved from the living rock, the steps, perhaps once smooth, are now warped and drilled with holes from the rain. But they lead downwards all the same. How did anyone carve such a slope? What did they stand on to sculpt the stones so high in the air? The top step is covered with a curious bright yellow moss. From across the plain you hear the distant sound of flapping wings. More nighthawks? But nighthawks do not fly when the sun is shining. I shall look back. Shielding your eyes against the low sun, you look south. The skies seem darker there somehow, and 4 birds wheel against the sky. Then suddenly they break formation. One falls, another is torn to pieces. A figure moves in the darkness beneath. That figure was me. Is that the time serpent following along behind me in the past? As in, the time serpent was following me, and it's moved back in time to get a head start and get ahead of me. I think that's how the time serpent works. I'll watch. I'll look at the figure. You try to make out through the darkness, but though you recognize the figure, you cannot place him. I'll watch further. If I call out, would I break continuity? What follows is a rage of feathers of birds locked in combat, but suddenly the whole scene is gone. The plains and skies are empty once more. There is something very strange about this place. What moss? I'll absolutely gather some moss. Intrigued, you grab a fistful of the moss. It is juicy and extremely pungent. I'll smell it. You put your nose deep into the moss. The scent is like lemons and strong cheese and manure all rolled together. It reminds you of the smell of drinking water in Khare. The effect is heady. This feels like something I could feed to someone. You taste the moss with a tentative tongue. The flavour is not pleasant, but it does not appear to be acrid. Perhaps it is not poisonous. Maybe hallucinogenic. Eat it? Well, I haven't eaten today, so, Feeling bolder, you put the clump of moss into your mouth and chew. Thick yellow juices run down your chin. Swallowing the thick clump is hard, but almost as soon as you do, you feel a great warmth spread up from your stomach. Whatever this moss is, it seems to be most beneficial in spite of its extremely strong offensive taste. Sunlight sparkles in the distance. A lake, perhaps? I'll look at the view, see if there's anything new. You stare out across the plains. The featureless dust resolves itself into low rocky outcrops and gullies. The landscape below is not as featureless as perhaps you first thought. I'll look at the plain, see if I get any sign of the serpents. Some way off you see a spire of rock rising proud like a stupa. But through the mist it seems sometimes that it has 2 prongs, and perhaps only 1. I'll look at the mountains, see what I can learn. Beyond that, a line of low mountains rises, the Badubak Ridge. A second, higher range is visible now, the Horns of Ilklala. Their summits must be subject to wild winds, as from here it seems that snow covers them 1 minute, and yet you see a barren rock the next. I will begin to clamber down the steps. Maybe this way I'll get to see the cavern partway down. You stride onto the ancient stone staircase, trusting it will not crumble beneath your weight. Then, 1 pace at a time, you make your way slowly down to the sunken lands below. And I will again attempt to trace this path. Ooh, yep. Oh, it's going off the edge of the screen a lot, isn't it? There we go. That looks like the cliff entrance. How do I get there? You clamber down the ancient stairs. It is painstaking work, as every step is about the height of your own body. You're about halfway to the ground. Then, about halfway to the ground, you are forced to stop. The stairs below have fallen to rubble. Can I go for how? I can. Not. Okay. If I backtrack to there, cast I want to get into that cavern. You cast a spell and a calm voice enters your mind, indicating a series of carved stones that lead away down the mountainside. In the far distance, birds wheel and turn above the landscape ahead. I presume these carved stones are the steps. Fine, look at the staircase. Look back. Look at the figure. Watch further. Gather the moss. Smell it. Taste it. Eat it. Look at the view. Mountains. Plain. Climb down the steps. So, here we go again. I wasted a stamina point on a house spell for something that was... Yeah, come on, it goes like this. Let's get this correctly. There we go. I mean, the game just really doesn't want me to get to that unless I can float up to it. So, look at the remaining stairs. Cast a spell. I mean, house seems pretty pointless, and also, really? That's not going to help me much. I don't have the... So, obviously... No, I think it's got to be full. I'm not seeing another way down. When you cast the spell, lightening your body weight to a mere fraction of normal. Somewhere close by, the wind whistles a clear note as though blowing over the top of a gigantic bottle. Look across the cliff face! You lean from the step to glance around the cliff face and spy a cave mouth in the raw rock of the cliff a little way to the east of where you stand. Perhaps the staircase once led to it, but if so, the ledge is no longer intact. Can I go to the cliff face? You step over to where the staircase ends, and then beyond. The cave mouth you saw disappears upwards as you drift down to the valley floor. Oh, could I have used FOF to blow myself across to the, Well, down I go. You have reached the bottom of the cliff. Your weight returns and you settle gradually back down to the ground. As the sun climbs towards its zenith, the winds pick up. The great cliff rises up into the sky, unclimbable, and looking ready to topple at any moment. I'll look back at the cliff. I have no provisions to check. You crane your neck and look back up at the cliff towering above you. Presumably this is why there are no maps of the Baklands. Those who fall in never leave. But about halfway down, you spy the cave you spotted. Totally inaccessible, of course. Yeah, that's somewhat disappointing. There probably is maybe it's a false lead, right? A red herring. Okay, well, I'll move on. You turn your eyes to the surrounding wastes. Time to journey outwards into the cursed plains. Right, now. Let's look at this. Is this the way to Mampang, or is this? I think it might be here. But I'm thinking this, just straight across the bottom of the map here, that's not really exploring or experiencing very much. And if I'm looking for the Seven Serpents, they could be anywhere. Also, this appears to be a bit of a dead end. So what could be hiding here that I could miss if I don't go this way? You walk along the base of the cliff. The sun is hot now. The foot of the cliff is punctured by little holes, perhaps the warren of hill foxes or whatever equivalent inhabits these barren wastes? I will look at the cliff. You gaze up the soaring arc of the cliff, barren rock dusted by what little scrub can cling onto its sides. It is as if some great clawed hand had scooped out the earth. You can just make out the cave mouth you saw earlier halfway up. It appears quite unreachable. Yes, you keep taunting me with that. Look across the plain. In the near distance across the plains and away from the cliff, you can see a stone tower, the only stone structure in the whole barren landscape. The tower stands some way across the plain, almost in the foothills of the ridge. It lists to one side, but appears not to have crumbled into ruin. Magic protection. I don't think I'm being affected by magic. Doc requires a medicinal potion. Oh, hello. I finally get to cast that. Well, I don't have a disease. This feels wasteful because it's safe, not correct, right? It's not... it's how do I get out of here safely, not how do I... Zen. Well, Zen instead of Fool. I don't think I had Zen available earlier. I believe I will not cast a spell. The plains stretch away from the cliff to the north and east, and an old road winds east. Time to begin your foray into Badubak. Follow the cliff. Where's this tower? Over here, I presume. With what looks like a great big... Okay. So, the road will get me where I'm going quickest and safest. The Seven Serpents could be travelling off-road and hiding. I don't believe there's going to be a serpent that's easy to miss in this first area. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm seeing 6 areas. So I think if I'm trying to get food from people, trying to find people or inhabitants of this land so I can learn about it. Okay, I see something interesting here and here and here. Yeah, let's follow the road. This looks like holes in the ground with steam rising from them, like muddy. Sure, I'll follow the road for now. You leave the shadow of the cliff for the road that cuts across the plain. Heat beats down from an empty sky. From here the path is uncertain. Badubak is a wasteland and there is no pass through the great ridge that forms its eastern border. The forest of Snatter is enchanted. The Zanzunu peaks and Mampang seem remote. Okay, let's have a look at this. Forest of Snatter, well, yeah, I'll be... The forest of Snatter, at the east of the ridge, is uncharted, and the Clatterback Steppes are said to be home only to under-evolved half-humans. The Snatter cat is a very memorable monster. It had a really nice picture. No tracks climb the horns of Ilklala. No tracks climb the horns of Ilklala that lie beyond the forest, and there is no bridge across the great lake beyond that. The Zanzunu peaks and Mampang seem remote. In fact, impossibly far away, and yet a way must be found. When the Archmage sent his birdmen to steal the crown of kings, they flew. But you must walk. The path beckons. There is no alternative. The future of the old world depends on you finding your way across this lonely dust bowl. Ooh. The blasted tree. The marked cliff. Marked. I want to go to the tree, but the marked cliff sounds really interesting. There may be something edible here. Blasted, probably not. No, it's probably like struck by lightning or something. You leave the road and walk across the desolate plain. The sun begins to dip, heading towards the horizon. After a while of walking, you see something to break the monotony. Too tall and thin for a skewer of rock or a building, you cannot place it until you get close. It is a single tree, leafless and dead, tilting from the desolate soil. If I climb it, it could be dangerous, but I should... Oh! Isn't one of the serpents sitting in a tree somewhere around it? Yeah, I think it is. I can't remember which one it is, though. The tree must be the last remnant of an ancient forest, though why this particular trunk has survived when all the others fell is not clear. And that is not all. A rope ladder hangs from one of the higher branches of the tree. Oh, really? You scramble up the rope ladder to get a view across the lands, but the branches seem to be alive, twisting and bending as you climb. They are closing in around you like a trap. Untie the ladder. At least that way I get a rope ladder. Cut the branches away seems like a wrong one. Climb down. Sure. The knots holding the ladder to the branch are thick with age, but you manage to work them free. The branch underneath seems to lift in relief as it is removed. A moment later, another branch draws backwards behind you and releases, knocking you painfully to the ground. After a moment, you hear a sound, almost like a laugh. I'll look back up at the tree. You look back up at the tree resentfully, but now it is quite still once more. "Who's there?" you demand. "Stranger." The voice is faint yet echoing. "Stranger!" I'll look. You look around behind the tree. No, it probably is the tree. Over your shoulder, but the endless plain stretches away in all directions. There is no one in sight. You look up at the branches of the tree to find the bare twigs have curved themselves into a human face. An old man's face that looks down at you with overturned mouth. "Stranger," the tree face declares wistfully, "you are lost." "What makes you say I am lost?" "All who enter this place are lost," this face replies sadly. "This is a land accursed. Every soul within is lost." "I must reach Mampang," you reply, thinking only too late that this face might be one of the serpents in disguise. But your moment of fear passes. Yes, fear passes as well. The tree does not react with alarm or with glee. Mampang lies across the mountains, far away in every direction. Too far, too high, too long ago. Oh, the voice sighs with despair. The crown wreaks destruction, Saviour. How do you know about the crown tree? This is more than a tree. I think this might be someone using the tree from a distance to speak to me. "Which way should I go?" you ask. The branches flutter and break in a sudden gust of wind, the face disappearing for a moment. "You seek the whereabouts of Shadrack of Badubak," the voice declares. "Indeed. Where will I find him?" you ask. "Turn like a leaf in the morning," the face replies, sighing, a deep sorrow of ash and autumn colour, "to the Fishtail Rock. He is expecting you." Another, stronger breeze catches the branches and disturbs them, and when they settle, the face has disappeared. "Come back!" you shout, but your words have no effect. I'm not gonna hit the tree." You wait a short while longer, but it is no good. You walk away from the shade of the tree. If there's any rock that looks like a fish's tail, that's probably it. So heading up to the north? No. It means I would probably miss it. You walk on across the plain until you meet the edge of an old road. The wind picks up as the evening draws on. It'll be night soon again already. The road snakes across the dust bowl. In the near distance you make out something through the haze, not a tower but a spire of rock. It seems to flicker strangely. From behind you a voice says, "Excuse me?" You turn around to find the road deserted. There is no one in sight of any direction. "Where are you?" You call, half expecting flanker to materialize up from the dust to greet you. There is no reply. The cold wind whistles around you. The plains feel suddenly far emptier than a moment before. You continue along the ghost road. The marked cliff is tempting, but I really should not waste too much time if evening is drawing on. You follow the old road. The sun is sinking and the sky is turning bruise purple. Soon it'll be dark. The road forks here, with the main path snaking up the mountainside to the east. Rocks have tumbled down the slope and all but covered the road. Well, I probably shouldn't go that way then, should I? You cast your gaze towards the towering Badubak Ridge. The main peak is lost in haze at the end of the long, winding road that climbs the slope. Okay, so I'm definitely being channeled in the direction I wanted to move anyway. Looking north, the road winds along the rocky edges of the foothills. A particularly impressive stone stupa stands out a little way along. Stones shift and move underfoot as you walk. I shall head northwards towards that very impressive stone edifice. I mean, to be an edifice, I suppose it would need to be carved and man-made. The ground underfoot turns into rocks and scree. The sun has almost set and the sky has turned a deep purple. You pause to rest in the shadow of a large rock spire that sticks from the dirt like a claw through cloth. Well, well, well. The rock is a single shattered spire, perhaps once part of the mountain range to the east, or perhaps driven up through the ground by some geological quirk. At the base of the rock is the mouth of a cave. I will look inside the cave. You approach the cave with one hand on your blade. The cave appears to go back some distance into pitch blackness. Someone seems to have scratched a message into the rock inside the cave. It is only just legible, but must be ancient. Well, I will read that. Should I cast the sunlight spell first or after reading? It would probably make it easier. You know it makes sense. Especially as it costs no stamina, so I could probably cast it again after. Right. Looking to the stars, you craft the magic, and the sun jewel in your pack begins to pulse and throb with a brilliant, blinding light. Now I shall read the message. Holding your sun jewel to the rock wall, you can make out this ancient scratched message quite clearly. Oh my god, Zed? Zed, is this a Zed time? Stranger, I am waiting for you but so very long ago. I can summon you if you will let me. Call my name to the skies and I will hear you. I'm going to give it a shot. Shadrack! You cry the name across the plains, and the echo of it seems to set off a distant avalanche. The ground begins to shake and rumble, and you stagger to your knees. The very earth is moving as though it was splitting, or merging back together again. You reach down to steady yourself, only to find that grass is growing through your fingers. What, as in between them, or actually like impaling my fingers and making me bleed to death? So, that transition there with the sky and the cloud overlay and stuff, that explains why it was so different. So we literally have, now we're in this sort of bubble and there's the darkness around. whereas previously there's other light and dark spots moving. So this land is in transition between multiple states or multiple times. You pick yourself unsteadily to your feet, feeling sick and unwell. Everything around you is the same, but everything is different. The rock has 2 spires for one thing, the cave seems smaller and darker, and in a fire pit built into the scrub at its mouth, a fire is burning. From inside you hear the gentle sound of singing. I will listen to the song. You stop and listen. The singer is a man with a voice like gravel moving over ice. He sings in a language you do not recognize, but the melody seems to soothe your soul. This would be the perfect time to cast the spell of understanding languages, but that doesn't seem to be available. So, I will approach the fire and call out Shadrack once again. Shadrack, you cry, I am here. The singing stops abruptly. There is a cough and a wheezing sound, and then an old man hobbles out from the cave, limping on a stick. This must be Shadrack himself, but you recognize the face as that of the tree spirit you met earlier. So gravel moving over ice. Ah, it's you, he declares, speaking thickly through his beard. I have been expecting you. He waves a hand around the landscape. Welcome back. You are Shadrack the Hermit? You ask? Oh dear. My apologies. The man nods. I am he. Welcome to my humble house in this delightful land. He smiles. I know your mission, of course. I know all about you. Then what do you know of me? You demand. I know where you come from, and I know where you are going, and that is all one can know about anyone. Don't you think? He smiles. I know you travelled here from Khare. Tell me, how fares that city? It still stands. It stands still. Yeah, it's the same as always. Shadrack nods deeply. I watched an army of marsh goblins scale the cliffs armed with swords and axes, he said. There should be smoke rising at the horizon, but I see no such thing. He grabs a handful of dry grass from the ground and tosses it into the fire pit, where it blazes for a moment into flame. He appears to change topic. I must warn you that no one from Analand has ever crossed the Baklands alone and survived. Then what are the dangers? I should try and get every single piece of information I can here. The land is cursed, Shadrack replies. The very rocks and earth here are lost. Things become unstuck, and you have now become unstuck yourself. I do not understand. He demonstrates with his fingers as he speaks, twisting them together. The old world and the ancient world have grown together like thorny bushes. To journey through one is to journey through the other. The ancient world? You ask, looking about yourself, at the fields of grass that have appeared to replace the desert. I still have the show and the Serpent Ring option. I saw it. I'm waiting to see if I keep it. I keep it. I will use it. Keep the option, that is. Ishtara, the place that was. My home. Shadrack bows his head. You are most welcome. Unexpectedly, Shadrack stumbles. He smiles at you weakly. Are you unwell? Oh, that is such a... That line from Caves of Steel, Daniel Olivor, when what's his name, Eli or something, the detective is... when they jump across the freeway and he's like, "Are you unwell?" When it's more like a sprained ankle, you know. "This whole land is unwell," he replies. "I will not be able to stay for very long," he gasps suddenly. "Please, ask me what you need to know, then leave." Do you play Swindlestones? I'll show him the Serpent Ring. You take the Serpent Ring from your pack and show it to Shadrack. "Do you know what this is?" you ask. Shadrack accepts it thoughtfully, turning the item over in his thick palm. "I have never seen one," he says, "but I would say it was a serpent ring. There are only 2 or 3 of these in the ancient world, or just one going round and round. You never can be sure. What does it do?" you ask. "I believe it is the component of a spell," he replies, "though quite what spell I fear I do not know. I am no sorcerer, you understand." Then he hands the ring back to you. "Maybe a spell that lets me defeat the time serpent." "Try the Wizard of the Mountain," he adds. "Climb from here through the trees." Shadrack is shivering slightly now. His face is pale behind the ruddy beard. "What do you know of the Seven Serpents?" And maybe I'll get to ask him if he has food as well. You ask quickly, keen to learn what you must while you can. "The serpents are most terrible," Shadrack answers. "I have often seen them, but they are no mere snakes. Do you know of their legend?" "Tell me." Shadrack nods, then coughs sharply. "It is said that thousands of years from now, a few years ago for you, perhaps, the Archmage of Mampang fought and slew a mighty hydra which dwelt in the caves of High Zaman. So formidable a foe was this creature that the Archmage took its 7 heads back to Mampang, where he used his dark arts to resurrect them as 7 winged serpents. They became his personal messengers, his assassins, his force in dark places." "Thousands of years from now?" Shadrack smiles weakly. "Indeed so. Look about you. I fancy this valley was not green with grass when you entered it." He is right. It is the same valley, yet not the same. I don't understand. I've got a pretty good idea, but confirmation, and the fact that my character apparently doesn't understand. I don't understand. What has happened? "You will," Shadrack replies, "but you will learn that for yourself. I must tell you this. Each serpent has a spirit to sustain it that grants a special power, but also a powerful weakness. Discover these weaknesses and you may be able to defeat the serpents." Shadrack coughs and shivers. "Friend," he murmurs, "I wish I did not have to go, but I must if I am to close the circle." He gets his stick and pushes himself up to his feet. "Farewell, then, and thank you." Shadrack nods. "We will meet again. We have already met, I think." Yes, we will meet again in the future when he's a tree, and we have already met in the future when he will meet me again. He waves a hand at his cave. "I have left one more thing for you in there. Travel well. Remember, when you walk through the fields of Ishtara, you are safe from the serpents, but if you do not return to your own time, you will never defeat them." "Ishtara?" you ask. "This land. My land. How do I travel between these lands?" "Look to the beacons," he answers cryptically. "If any have survived into your time, they will hold a little of our ancient light still. There is one to the north of here at least, by the river. Go there. Reaching over, he places his hands on either side of your head, and you feel a great lightness entering your body. Oh, and I've been healed! That done, he turns and stamps away across the grass. I'll let him go. No point following him and getting stuck here. He leaves, heading west across the plains and fading into the hazy dust that hangs in the air. You muse on what you have seen. It seems there is more to the Baklands than there first appeared. You are left alone by the cave mouth once more. I will absolutely look inside the cave, where he says he is less for me. I imagine it would be in the future, but hey, I'll try. You look into the cave again, and this time find a strange horn hanging from a hook on the wall. It is ornately carved from a strange twisting shell with a hide of leather. It is a gale horn, one of very few in existence. You lift it down with great care. I will not blow it. That would not be wise. I'll look around the plain. You pause to look around the plain. Thin scrub grass stretches away north and west. To the east, the mountains are gleaming in the afternoon sun. The whole world seems to have come alive around. But surely this magic cannot last. You make your way back to the old road that runs past the rock. To the north, you catch a glimpse of the tower Shadrack mentioned, covered in green ivy. West, you notice a young tree that surely wasn't there before. That's Shadrack. The light from your sun jewel pulses twice and fades. Yeah, with the dark, shifting nature of this. What's this? He did say Wizard of the Mountain, didn't he? Where is there a big mountain that might have a wizard on? I'm thinking this hut. Oh. If I do go back down here, am I then forced to go this way? I think I should head towards the tower. Let's look at my clues. Cave in the cliff. There is a cave in the cliff at the entrance to the Baklands. Yes, I can't reach that. 7 serpents threaten your journey, for they carry a message that will warn the Archmage of your coming, but each has a weakness that, if discovered, will allow you to destroy them. Okay. North then. Wait, the tree! It's a different tree! It's... Wait. No, I've been there. It's the same tree. Okay, good. You make your way over the grass-covered rocks and boulders, following the trail where you can, following the trail where you can, and scrambling the rest of the way. Night falls. You should find somewhere safe to sleep. If you keep going through the night, you will be weaker for it. The dusty plains have been transformed to fields, though the grass here is littered with rocks that have tumbled down from the mountain range to the east. From somewhere close at hand, a strange whistling noise catches your attention. I will look for the source of the sound. The sound is coming from the other side of a large rock. It seems steady enough, the sound of an ever-running wind. I will look around the rock. Oh! Air elemental or something. You peer around the rock and a strange sight greets your eyes. Whether a localized curse or a freak weather effect you cannot tell, but hovering a short way above the ground is a swirling mist of air, trapped in a cove formed by the rock. A small fly buzzes over the head of the whirlwind. A moment later it is sucked in and disappears from sight. Talking to it. I'll look at it. Is the funnel alive? Something about the way it moves suggests it is. It shuffles around the rock enclosure, as though injured and looking for a way out. I'll speak to it. Maybe I can heal it. And then it will owe me a favour. "Foul thing," you begin. "Are you indeed a creature?" The whirlwind kicks a short distance up into the air as if leaping, then settles back down again. A reaction to your voice or merely a chance movement. Suddenly, from somewhere above you, you hear a voice. "Analand, I bring you a message." I will look up. You look up and to your right, scouring the rock face until you spy a small boy leaping from stone to stone like a goat. "I bring a message from Shadrack the Hermit." How do you know who I am? I'm going to trust that this is not a trap, because the serpents are in the other world, right? "What message?" You call back, suspicious. "The fire serpent. He's following you. He's going to attack you while you sleep. Shadrack foresaw it." The boy has scaled halfway down the mountainside now and is just above the whirlpool in the rocks. He is about to jump. "What is the fire serpent's weakness?" "Sand. Shadrack says it can't stand sand." The boy jumps from a mountainside, intending to land on the ground beside you. As he falls, you see him pulled through the air towards the whirlpool. Cast a spell. "Galehorn! Blow that whirlwind away!" Huff! He literally gave it to me for this very purpose, I'm sure. You bind the starlight into shape around you, lifting the gale horn and blowing a loud note. The wind blows the falling boy sharply backwards away from the whirlpool. He stands a little way down the path, momentarily stunned. He lands a little way down the path, momentarily stunned. Then he is back on his feet and running towards you. "Thank you," he breathes. "What is that thing?" "I don't know," you answer honestly, "but it does not look safe." The boy chuckles, clearly untroubled by how close he came to being sucked into the whirl. That's not how you spell whirl. "Shadrack told me everything," he says. He checks things off on his fingers as he speaks. "The fire serpent doesn't like sand, the water serpent doesn't like oil, and the moon serpent..." The boy racks his brain. "Can only be killed once a month?" "Is scared of the dark, dislikes the light. Can only be killed once a month?" You suggest. "Yeah, he's scared of fire," the boy replies, remembering. "They are strange beasts, these serpents." "Anything else?" The boy shrugs. "Only good luck," he says. "Only good luck. He says you will need it because the Archmage will want to kill you very fast once you reach the walls of Mampang." He pales. "I don't think that was part of the message." And with that he is gone, running away out of sight and into the mists of the plain. So you, funnel of air. You creep slowly closer to the thing until you are barely a sword's length away. It remains in position, spinning rapidly. From here you can make out little more about it except that deep inside something flashes. I don't hear the peal of thunder, so I doubt it's lightning. I'm going to go for it. This is dangerous. You reach out a hand above the top of the whirlwind. The force it exerts downwards is quite strange, then suddenly, without warning, it gets stronger. The sound coming from the thing increases in pitch dramatically. What spells do I have available? Wait to see what happens. You look to the heavens, hoping to find a spell, but when you try to pull your hand back to begin casting, you find you cannot move it. It is too strongly held in place above the whirlwind. The force on your hand is getting significantly stronger. Step back, pray for aid. That feels like a good idea. Wait to see what happens. Step back. I'm likely to get hurt, so no, I'll wait. Oh, am I auto-killed? Yeah. I'm auto-killed, aren't I? Yep. Okay, good, fine. Suspicion confirmed. Well, hey, look, I'm here, right? Let's replay that but change the... I think getting the information from the boy was enough. Look at it. Speak. Up. Message. Sand. Galehorn. It's almost as if Shadrack knew I would need the Galehorn to save the boy, because he is living in different time states, right? The past and the future and the present. It's all muddled up here. Tell me your message. I'll try for that. Again. Anything else? Rest here. Maybe not a good idea. Can I huff it again? Yeah. You weave the enchantment, placing your Galehorn to your lips and playing a clear tune. The wind catches the whirlwind and makes it spin faster and faster until it is all but drilling into the earth below. But the winds do not seem to be strong enough to dissipate it. I'll blow again. You blow harder this time. The wind that billows around you is stronger now, so strong it knocks you forward towards the whirlpool. A moment later you're... Okay. Sucked the horn from... Oh, for goodness sake. No. Right, I'll redo that. So that was a trap. Oh dear. Okay. Look. Talk. Up. Get as much information as I can. I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your little boy safely away from the whirlwind. Okay. All the information. Rest here? No. No, move on. You move away from the whirling air. Whatever it is probably best left unexplored. The path leads in 2 directions from here. You have found 4 new clues and other clues have been updated. That's great. I imagine... Right, the moon serpent is deadly afraid of fire. The fire serpent is vulnerable to sand. So, quicksand? The fire serpent is following you, waiting for a chance to attack. The water serpent is vulnerable to oil. I don't have any oil. To the tower! You head out across the prairie. The moon sets, more stars appear, a tall shadow looms, and as you approach it you discover it is a tower standing proud amid the wasteland. But that tower, I think, will have to wait until the very next episode. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I do look forward to seeing you all in the very next one. I'm going to say goodbye for now though, and cheerio everyone! See you all soon.